Welcome to another in our series of Kehillat Israel podcasts. This is a recording of Rabbi Amy Bernstein's weekly Friday morning Torah study.
So we, this morning, are in Deuteronomy 22. We're in Parshat Tetze. When I talk with my bar and bat mitzvah students about this parsha, I do not do the captive woman and what you have to do, what you do to her before you can, take her. And we don't do the rebellious son, although probably we should, who is stoned to death, and all the ways that the rabbis try to get around capital punishment like that. So whatever, we don't do that. What we do is look at chapter 22, and I ask them, why these laws? Like, what? This is a bizarre collection of things that are put together as rules for how a society is supposed to be built. And of course, the Israelite vision is that it's a holy and just society. So obviously these things must be expressive of holiness in some way, right? Or justice or whatever. So I ask them, what is up with these? So I'm going to ask you to think about that as we look at 22. We are going to return to a favorite topic of mine, because just when I think I've exhausted every possible understanding of a favorite text, I'm preparing for y'all and come across another one that I did not see till 61. I don't understand. Okay. But, right, that's the beauty of Torah study. Doesn't matter how much you do it, there's always something new. So we're going to go to a favorite topic, but a new take on it. But first we'll say our bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, God, Spirit of the universe, who makes us holy with your mitzvot, one of which is to engage with words of Torah. So we are in Deuteronomy 22. Do y'all have it? Lo tir'eh et shor achicha o et sev nidachim v'hit alamta mehem hashev t'shevim la'achicha. You're not to see the ox of your brother or his sheep wandering off and hide yourself from them. You are to return them to your brother. So I picked Everett Fox's translation. So y'all here have the JPS translation. So notice when I'm reading the translation, they're stuck with what I have. But y'all here, just notice where there are differences in the translation, right, from what I read. So you shall not hide yourself from them. What does your translation say? Ignore it. Do not ignore it. Okay, so the meaning is don't ignore it. But I picked Everett Fox's translation for us on the screen because he stays very close to the literal meaning of the Hebrew. So le'alem is to disappear. Lehit alem is reflexive. Don't self-disappear. Don't disappear yourself. What does that mean? Obviously, that's not great English. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense. What it means is don't ignore the situation. You can't pretend you don't see. You can't disappear yourself from the reality that's happening, because why? Why might you not want to deal with this? Yeah. You want to come back later, because right now I'm on my way to work. I'm on my way to something. It is massively inconvenient for me to go get somebody's ox.
Amy,
Hey, hang on, Bert. So why is that responsibility only for a fellow Israelite? Good question. Let's hold that question. Bert?
Well, I was going to say there's a very big difference between ignoring and hiding yourself. Ignoring is very passive. Ignoring is that you're not doing anything. You're just kind of, hiding yourself sounds very, very active.
Okay.
If you're actively deciding to hide yourself, I mean, I know if you hide yourself, you're ignoring it, but ignoring sounds very passive.
Okay. I like that. So that's, in that sense, Everett Fox is staying closer to the sense of the Hebrew, which is lehit alem is an active choice. It's an active thing you're doing, disappearing yourself. You're actively saying, I am not dealing with this, right? Okay.
By the way, Amy, I have the Art Scroll translation,
Yeah.
and it's the same as the Fox.
It's the same as Fox. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it says hide yourself.
Love that. Okay. So start to think, like I said at the beginning, start to think about like, there's something that is bringing these laws together that feels so disparate and weird as a collection. Think about what that is in a society. What is this getting at? Okay. So possibly the understanding is you don't have flocks unless you live there and have land and have the ability to feed them. So presumably it's Israelites who have flocks or things gone astray. Ve'im lo karov achicha elecha, and if your brother is not near you and you don't know him, you are to bring it to your house, and it's to be there with you until your brother makes inquiry about it, and then hashevoto lo, you shall return it to him. All right, so the ox, you're not sure who it belongs to. You take it home and take care of it and feed it and water it and clean up its poop until the owner comes looking for it. Okay.
This is not finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
This is not finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Thus you are to do with his donkey, with his garment, and anything lost of your brother that is lost by him and you find it, lo tuchal lehit alem, you are not allowed to disappear yourself. You are not to see the donkey of your brother or his ox fallen by the wayside and hide yourself from them. You are to raise it together with him. So it falls over with a burden that's too heavy. You can't walk on. You have to go. So for me, this is like once upon a time, someone's on the side of the road with a flat tire. You can't just drive on. Like they're stuck. You have to get out and help. There is not to be a man's item on a woman, and a man is not to clothe himself in the garment of a woman, for an abomination to Yud-He Vav-He, your God, is anyone doing these. Probably aimed at ritual expressions of men dressing in women's attire for cultic purposes and possibly sexual purposes. Were not clear, but it's very clear that when we see the word to'eva, abomination, that's usually cultic. So abomination is an abominable translation. But to'eva is what is said about eating pork, right? So it's a taboo, and it's usually cultic. I knew Betsy would have her hand up. Okay, go Betsy. Yes, this is the prohibition against, yes.
It's not about that. It's about the previous passage. I was just going to ask you if all of the things about your brother and not hiding yourself when their sheep wanders off or whatever. So is that generally how you're supposed to act with people in general, or is that just for your tribe or your people?
So let's ask that question. Like, I want you to hold that question.
Okay.
And we'll talk.
And I just wanted to add, because this really resonates with me, because recently our dog wandered off, and all kinds of people were trying to reach me because he had an old ID tag on that had our Palisades address and an old phone number. So people were having but I was so grateful because it's like people recognize the dog, and so they're holding him for me and frantically trying to find me. And so this is like the same kind of thing.
Yes. So yeah. Yes. So this goes to my question of what's with these? And Betsy, you're starting to touch on it, right? Okay. So let's go a little further and we'll come back to this bigger question. When you encounter the nest of a bird before you in the way, in any tree or on the ground, whether fledglings or eggs, with the mother crouching upon the fledglings or upon the eggs, you are not to take away the mother along with the children. Send free the mother, but the children you may take for yourself, in order that it may go well with you and prolong your days. So this means you can have the eggs, but you must shoo the mother bird away before you take the eggs. If she's brooding, you have to send her away before taking those eggs. Lisa's rolling her eyes over here going, When you build a new house, you are to make a parapet for your roof so that you not put blood guilt on your house if someone falls from it. You are not to sow your vineyard with two kinds, meaning species, lest you forfeit as holy the full yield from the seed that you sow and the produce of the vineyard. You are not to plow with an ox and a donkey together. You are not to clothe yourself in shatnez, which is wool and flax together. Gdilim is the word used here, by the way. Gdilim, twisted cords, you are to make for yourself on the four corners of your tunic, covering with which you cover yourself. So you're to put gdilim on the four corners of your garment. All right, so this is about a man taking a woman, and then he hates her and starts saying horrible things about her, and claims that she was not a virgin when they were married so that he can get rid of her. Then they bring proof to the elders of the town that she was in fact a virgin, and then the father of the girl is to say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man as wife, and he came to hate her, and he's saying terrible things about her. And then they are to fine the person saying such a thing, and she is to remain his wife. He's not allowed to send her away. So in a time and a place where if a woman is charged with something like this and she is set aside, she's doomed. So we might say, well, why would she want to stay married to this jerk? Absolutely true, but that's not the society. It's a different society. If he could put her aside and divorce her, she's done. She's ruined. No one else is going to marry her. And she has no means of support for her or her children. So this is a protection, actually, for women. Okay. So let's go back to Betsy's point about someone found her dog and they were desperately trying to find Betsy to return the dog. All of these laws are about building a society that is expressive of holiness and justice, and I believe, and it's not just me, it's the commentary, compassion. That's really at the heart of these laws. Remember, this is a theocracy. So there's no separation between following cultic law and moral and ethical law, right? There's not a distinction in ancient Israel. And I just learned, again, how am I only learning this at 61? I just learned that it is Josephus who is writing about the Jews to a Greek-speaking audience. Josephus coins the term theocracy, because there's no word in Greek to explain the system of governance that ancient Israel has or had. By then it was destroyed. But in other words, the Greeks had all of these words: aristocracy, gerontocracy, democracy, republic. So they had all these words, autocracy, for all the different kinds of government. And they were very interested in the different forms of government in different societies. They had no word for what ancient Israel was. So Josephus had to coin it, and he coined the term theocracy. What is the power that rules? In ancient Israel, it's God. Okay. So God is above the king, even. So, autocracy, it's not that, right? The person in power has all the power. So it's theocracy. Okay. So that means that cultic, and Rachel's like, I knew that. Being a classics person, she knew that. What that means is ritual law is not separate from ethical and moral law. They are interwoven. But you can see here with the way that these are collected, these are all laws that are about shaping people into compassionate citizens, treating other citizens and what belongs to them respectfully, because it's not our inclination. I guess that's what I'm trying to harp on here. Torah knows someone has a flat tire, you're on your way to work. What is your primary instinct? To drive on. Nobody wants to stop and deal with that when you've got your day planned, right? You see someone's dog, oh God, really, really, really. Now I have to take it in the house. Now I have to try to reach them by phone. That phone number doesn't work. Well, now what? Do I put up signs in the neighborhood? Do I call the Pally Post? What? Really? Now I have to deal with this. It's an inconvenience at least. And sometimes it can derail your day and put your job at risk if you don't show up at the job site and you're a day laborer because you're busy dealing with somebody's ox that wandered off and you don't know whose it is. That could take you all day to take it back home, make sure it's safe, all that stuff. So it could put your own security at risk. Torah says, sorry, you don't have a choice. The kind of society that Torah wants to build is one where you cannot disappear yourself from the trouble happening for other people around you. You don't get to. It's not your day to do the way you planned. Your day doesn't belong to you. Your day and your energy and your time and your cleverness and whatever belongs or should belong to the community. Yeah? That's a very different way of thinking about things than we tend to do. Yes? All right. You got to show up, says Tamara. Yes. You have to, literally, you can't disappear yourself. You have to show up.
Then you have to be a good Samaritan, I guess.
Okay. So let's be careful about Samaritan. Samaritans were the people who were brought into Judea to replace the Israelites. Who were brought into northern Israel. When the northern kingdom fell, Samaritans were the people brought in to replace the Israelites so that there would be no rebellion against the ruling authorities. So we don't really talk about being Samaritans. Bert?
Well, certainly the first law is exactly what you described, and the parapet exactly what you described. I'm trying to fit conceptually the garment piece in and how that works. And to me, if you regard this as metaphor and not as the physical garment, and not deal with it in terms of cultic, you can't wear this is a society that had roles for different people. And there were one set of roles and one set of rules for women and for men. And I think that was considered to be as difficult, how can I put it? Difficult's the wrong word. Maybe distasteful that women couldn't act like men and men couldn't act like women. I think at that particular point in time, it was part of the order of society. So that's the only way that I could fit that particular one in. And the Shatnez thing, I'm not sure how I can metaphorically fit that in as well. But basically, it's, clearly what you're saying, if it's going to be a godly society, and if you're going to be a godly person, these are the things that you need to do. These are the choices that you need to make.
Yes, and I want to add that it's about cultivating a certain attitude and approach and understanding of responsibility, right? It's beyond this is what you have to do. It's about cultivating a society in which it is understood that you have to show up for what's happening to the person over there down the street. It is cultivating that in every citizen, which is sorely missing from our culture today. But I think, we're seeing much more of it in the Palisades right now because of the unique situation we're in. But in America today, it's not my problem. Okay, Rachel?
Yeah, so I do want to comment on that because I know it's hard because I also want to kind of I do tend to generalize about this, but it's based on my lived experience, having grown up in Westchester County, which is in southern New York, suburbs of New York City, and also, having my life center around Manhattan and New York City for, basically, much of like the first third of my life. And then, and even some into adulthood. And then moving upstate into a very rural area, I've noticed there's a very distinct difference in this, at least here. So one of the first things I noticed when I moved upstate, and it's not completely a stark difference. There are examples from when I lived, when I say downstate, but upstate, people definitely stop. So and they stop no matter where they're on their way to. So you could be on your way to work. I remember calling the woman before she retired, the woman I used to work with, and saying, "I'm sorry, but there's been a car accident. I know I'm on my way in and I'm supposed to be there, but because it could be a while before EMTs show up in an area like that." And so I just am going to find out if I can help in any way. And there were already people there. You stop, not because you're gawking, but you stop because the EMTs haven't arrived yet and you have no idea when they're going to. It's just, and people have done it for me too. When my daughter and I got literally hit head on by a deer, and, we were only okay because the airbags went off, this is what people do here. And it really is. Thank goodness they do, because, I don't know, and I don't know why that's different here. I just don't know, but really it is the only time I ever really saw it when I lived downstate was things like September 11th, where suddenly everyone on that day, everyone's behavior was dramatically different. We all had to actually make room and not just hog all the seats on the train. That was one of the only times that, and when there was the massive blackout a year later, the next summer. Those were really the only times when I saw that.
So you're describing the normative experience where you are up north versus the normative daily lived experience, right, of downstate.
Yeah.
And I have lots of theories about why it is. when you said, I don't know why that is. I think there's lots of theories. What's very clear is that Torah is saying you have to do it that way. That is the kind of society that is godly, that is holy, that is just, that is right. That's how you have to cultivate that in people, because the tendency is to not, unless you depend on each other. So what I hear you saying is, if EMT isn't there, they may die if I don't intervene. Torah is saying, doesn't matter. You have to stop regardless. Right? Yeah. Okay. Betsy?
Is Torah promoting a distinction between actively pursuing opportunities to help versus not making yourself disappear or not hiding yourself from when it's evident that somebody needs help? Because you said, when I said, are we supposed to be good Samaritans? And you said, basically I should avoid that term, be careful with that term. But because I was thinking about in terms of after the fire, and I mean, so many people actively look for ways to help, and there was that group, that religious, Bible toting group called Samaritan's Purse that came and dug for us, and dug up stuff. And so I'm wondering, is Torah saying, just don't avoid helping if you see a need, or you should actively pursue the chance to be helpful to people?
Torah does not say actively pursue the opportunities to help people. It doesn't say that. If you cultivate a society where what's normative is when there's something going on, I don't disappear. I understand it is my obligation to help out. You're cultivating an attitude and a culture that, of course, I'm going to be more apt to see opportunities to help, if that makes sense. But minimally, this is minimally. Maximally, obviously, we should be looking for opportunities to help each other. Minimally, you can't disappear yourself. That's the minimum, right? Requirement. You can't ignore it. Torah does not anticipate what you're describing, 100%. The other thing is that it's not every situation. These situations are ones in which you can help, right? Because an ox is expensive. It's like a Volkswagen. That's make or break, right? But it's understood by Torah that you can help with the ox. Yeah. This is my interpretation. What am I going to do for the homeless person? The person experiencing homelessness. What am I going to be able to do? Torah is addressing that, you described, a rural situation where it's your neighbor's crop failed, so you can leave a casserole. Correct. All right, Bert?
Just to follow up on what Rachel said, we moved from the Palisades to Woodland Hills after the fire. And I can tell you the people out in the valley, believe it or not, are noticeably nicer and noticeably more friendly. And we're just talking about the west side of LA to the San Fernando Valley, which is it's about 10 miles. Well, there's a mountain in between. So that exists within cities as well. Yeah. But I did want to make a comment that what we face every moment is these kinds of decisions. Which way are we going to go? Are we going to go the godly way, or are we going to go the selfish way? And it's not just when someone's ox falls. It happens all the time. Okay, what are we going to say? What are we not going to say? Where are we going? We're standing in line. What do we do? And little by little, all these things, it says, I think, in Pirkei Avot, that doing a mitzvah brings another mitzvah. And doing an Aveirah doing a bad thing brings a bad thing. So when you do these things, they become a habit. And I think that's what you're talking about, to develop human beings who then have the habit of doing the godly thing.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's what
that's
this
the
is
point.
telling us.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about habit, right? Schar mitzvah, just friendly amendment. Schar mitzvah is the reward for a mitzvah is the opportunity to do another mitzvah.
Okay.
It's not that you're going to get something good, and the reward for a punishment for an avera is an avera. It means it's about cultivating habit. That as soon as I do something bad, it opens up the opportunity for me to do something else bad, right? That means the road you start to choose opens up doors on that road. And so the idea is be in the habit of doing mitzvah, and the doors open to the opportunities to do more mitzvah.
No, it's here.
Okay. And part of the bottom line is, what kind of a person do you want to be?
Correct. That's right. That's what Torah is worried about.
Yeah, you create who you are.
Yes. All right, Judith.
I just thanked Lisa for doing something very kind, and her response was, "It's all in a day's work." That's the ideal.
That's the ideal. That is exactly what this Torah portion is trying to do. Thank you. Okay. Let's go back to one of my favorite verses of Torah. I gave a high holiday sermon on this. It's one of my favorite high holiday sermons ever. So if you want to find it, hopefully I'll remember to send Bert the link, but just go to our YouTube channel. So one of my favorite verses is this whole business of returning things that are lost. So you may have heard me teach about this before. Where is it? Where'd it go? 22, Amy. Hashev teshevim le'achicha. You surely shall return it. Heshiv teshiv, right? So this is about hashevat aveda, according to the Mishnah. These are the laws of hashevat aveda, returning lost objects. And then we see down here, right? Anything that's lost, right? So that's what you should do. L'chol avedat achicha, to everything that is aveda, lost, to your neighbor. Lo lehit alem, you cannot disappear yourself. So this idea of hashevat aveda, the return of that which is lost, becomes a huge concept in our tradition, and is really, really amazing what they do with it in the Hasidic tradition. And again, you can hear my high holiday sermon on it, but it goes back to the fact that the temple took this seriously, and took seriously the obligation to provide people a way to reclaim. Because remember, it says, take it to your house until they come claim it. There has to be a way to claim what you've lost. So in the temple, at the 3 festivals, there was a lost and found. And if you found something, you brought it to the temple. And then when somebody was going to be coming for the festival, they knew if they'd lost, like I just did, a diamond earring, they knew they should go to the temple, because hopefully somebody found it. And if somebody found it, well, of course, they're going to take it to the temple, because we're cultivating a society where that's what you do. You don't keep it. You're not allowed to. It belongs to somebody else. Okay. So that's what I've preached on before. I love this idea that the temple was the lost and found of ancient Israel. And the Hasidim go even further to say that that's what your teacher is for. That's what the Rebbe is for. You go to the Rebbe for the Rebbe to return to you what you've lost, that you don't even know you've lost. The Rebbe, the Tzaddik, has the capacity, the power, the insight to tell you what you've lost and to give it back to you. So people go to Mark Fish for this. They go to Mark and they say, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm miserable. And all good therapists like Mark, their job is to listen deeply and to kind of help figure out what might be missing, right? and provide that feedback and that peace. And that is what the Hasidim do with this, but they do it in a spiritual context, not in a psychotherapeutic context. Okay, so I've preached all of this before. I did not pay attention to the part of the Mishnah that Mijal Bitan brings forward, and someone else. Can you believe it? 2 commentators commented on this part of Hashevat Aveda that I've never thought about before. So it's like, okay, red flag. It means you're supposed to teach it. And in the context of Elul. This year, says Mijal Bitan, there is one detail, meaning about this business of Hashevat Aveda, that I keep thinking about. The Talmud explains that fines were announced on the pilgrimage festivals with time built in afterward for a person to travel home, check whether they were missing that item, and then come back to reclaim it. And I'm like, I don't remember that being a big deal about the Mishnah. So here's the Mishnah, Bava Metzia, until when is one who finds a lost item obligated to proclaim it? He is obligated to do so until the moment that the neighbors will know of its existence. This is the statement of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, and this is what the Mishnah goes with, Rabbi Yehuda says he is obligated to proclaim his find for 3 festivals and for 7 days after the last of those festivals, so that the owner will have time to go home, a trip lasting up to 3 days from Jerusalem, and ascertain that he in fact lost the item, meaning it's not where it's supposed to be. And that he'll return to Jerusalem, a trip lasting up to 3 days, and proclaim his loss for 1 day. So you have to treat the object as lost, as belonging to someone for 3 festivals, and the person has 3 days to go home, check, come back 3 days, and have a whole day to go, I am missing a lacrosse pen that is black with etchings on it, blah, blah, right? So to proclaim your loss, and then you can claim the lost item as yours. Here is why this stayed with me. This part of it, says Mijal Bitan. The law assumes we can lose something precious and not even realize it. And perhaps that is true for our souls too. I don't know where each of you is. I know that I'm approaching Elul this year feeling spiritually adrift. My mind is gripped by politics, by this moment, by everything external to me. Urgent questions about the Jewish people, about Israel, about America. All of it matters. But somewhere in the noise, I'm aware that I'm having a hard time noticing what is happening to my soul. The spiritual self that needs quiet, that needs to ask what it means to stand before God. I'm wondering what it would take to even notice what I've lost and how to reclaim my sense of seeking. I think this is the spiritual condition of so many of us right now. We don't have the muscles to even realize what we are missing. The good news is that even though we don't have a public stone, meaning the place the claimant went to say what they've lost, we do have Elul. First, we have to notice what's missing. Then we have to go looking. And perhaps if we search carefully enough, we may discover that what we thought was lost was actually never beyond our reach. So I think this is a wonderful teaching for Elul about Hashevat Aveda, which is we can lose something and not even know it. Elul is the call to notice, because at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we're supposed to stand before the throne. Well, I don't know about y'all. I don't even know where the palace is, let alone the throne room. Right? we're just lost in this like cacophony of concerns and worries and anxieties and things beyond our control and things we can't do anything about. And the home, like Lisa was saying, you go to New York, and she was saying you step over someone literally lying in the street every, couple of blocks. So I think what's moving to me is the way we continue to read this text in the context of Elul and the high holidays approaching, and that we're a clever people. I love it that 2 commentators picked up on the Mishnah saying, they go home to check to see if they lost it, because we lose things and we're not even aware that we've lost it. So that is my intention for Elul, this beginning of the month of Elul, is to start paying attention to what I've lost. Lisa Simon, we're going to get back to yoga. That's one of the things I have ignored that I've lost, right, is my twice a week yoga. So I want us to just see this as an invitation to do an inventory, not of our deeds. We're going to do that. To do an inventory of what might be missing that we haven't paid attention to. Yeah. I'm also aware the word that comes to mind for me is play. I'm not playing enough. I'm very aware that only when I started reading this and thinking about talking with y'all, not before that. That's why it was so like eye-opening for me. It's like, right, what else is missing that I don't even realize most of the time is missing? And it's like, I'm not laughing enough. That not good. That not good. Right. So, anyway, that was really important for me, the learning for this Elul. All right, let me share another one on this same idea. This is Mijal Vitan still. This is a different commentary from her, but relates to the same thing in a way. In our world, sight, right? You see the ox of your brother, you can't ignore it. Sight has been flattened, she says. We see too much. Asked to care about everything, we risk caring about nothing. We are in the midst of an ongoing information revolution, and the rise of AI will only deepen the moral questions around sight, attention, and responsibility. This week's Torah portion challenges us not to abandon the responsibility of seeing. Its moral formula, you see, you must not ignore, you must respond, still matters. In an age of nonstop images, we must cultivate discerning sight. What if we made it a practice to respond meaningfully to one image of need each week? Or committed to acting when we see suffering in our own neighborhood, in the places we actually inhabit. The Torah doesn't ask us to respond to everything, but it does expect us to respond to something, to resist the pull of indifference. Simon Weil, the French philosopher and mystic, wrote, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity." Our capacity for attention and empathy may be limited, but it's also precious. Scatter them across everything, and we risk becoming numb, not only to distant tragedies, but also to the needs right in front of us. Maybe that's what the month of Elul enveloping us now comes to teach. Teshuvah, return, is not about doing or fixing everything. It is about choosing where to look, where to turn, where to begin. To see clearly, to not ignore, and to act with intention. Algorithms know human suffering drives clicks, and they inundate us with more images than the human nervous system can bear. So what she's saying is we need to cultivate, like Torah is asking us to do, the ability to hone in on what we can impact. Because it's very easy to say it's all too big, so therefore I'm not going to, I can't deal, and we're going to put our heads in the sand. And she's suggesting, Torah is saying, so you have to cultivate discernment of attention, where you put your attention. Because if we let it get too diffuse, if attention is generosity, like I love that quote, if attention is generosity, If we let it get too diffuse, we are stingy because we're not giving our attention. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed. I got home last night late after a board meeting, I was going to make something to eat and saw, the clicker, turned on, CNN, and then just went, I can't. I've been working all day. I just came out of a great meeting. Like, I can't. But that was an awareness that I don't always have. What usually happens is I allow my system to get overloaded, right? I've been working all day. It's now 9:00. I'm fixing, dinner for Ellie, who just gets home with Jake. And I'm turning on CNN and I'm listening to this bad news and this bad news and this bad news and this bad news. And then I wonder why my shoulders are wrapped around my ears at 10:30 when I'm trying to go, I have to sleep. I have to teach in the morning. I have to sleep. I have to teach in the morning. It's like, and then that is a recipe Torah is saying, and our commentator is saying, Mijal Biton is saying, that's a recipe for disaster. For everybody, for the society, not forget my nervous system. What it means is then I don't have the ability to give my attention, my generosity to what I could impact. Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. Beautiful. Okay. Now let's go to Noah Farkas. We'll close with Noah Farkas. In this week's Torah portion, Tetze, we learn about how to guard ourselves from losing hope. From all of the places that we could learn this idea, the Torah chooses for us to learn it from an ox. And here we get the quote from 22:1. You are not allowed for missing to become lost. You must not ignore the animals. You must return them. Deeper still, the Torah's language is intentional when it says, do not see. The language of sight here is powerful. It is not only that you must return what is lost, but you cannot allow yourself to view the ox or sheep as lost. What do you have to view it as? Found, beautiful, beautiful bread. You have to see it as belonging to someone. It's not lost. You're not allowed to see it as lost. You have to see it as belonging to someone else. It's found. Now you're obligated because you found it. Okay. But listen where he goes. What begins as an obligation to return a missing animal transforms into an entire worldview. Do not see the world as lost. Do not see a world that is only dark with no light. Do not give up. Do not look upon the world and give up. You are not allowed to despair. The Midrash adds, you must surely return what is lost even until the 1,000th time. You cannot ignore what is wrong and broken in the world, but you cannot give up on it either because, according to Torah, nothing is lost until you let it be. That ox is not lost if you're looking at it. The only way it's lost is what? Give up on it. If you turn away and go, oh, there's no collar, there's no tag, I tried the number, it doesn't work, right? The minute you give up, that's when the animal is lost. Not before then. Before then, it's just in your custody. That's so profound, people. It ain't lost until you declare it so by giving up. So according to the legend, in the Midrash, there was a large stone in the middle of the ancient city of Jerusalem called the Claimant's Stone. Anyone who lost something would be directed there to declare that they were looking for that item. Similarly, those who found objects would bring them to the stone and declare that they had found the item. In that place and upon that stone, says the Talmud, those who have lost and those who have found would seek each other out. In our day, there is no stone, but there is a place. It is your heart. The Hebrew word tshuva means return, not just repentance from sin, but literally to return from some other place. At this time of year, when we prepare for the High Holy Days, we need to create spaces in our hearts for our own claimant stones, a place inside yourself and with your community to declare something is lost and something has been found. In a few weeks, when we gather together as a people and wonder, where did my life go? Where did I put all my energy, my anger, my love, my worry? Where did my hope go? In that moment, we can look across the room at those we love. We can glance at those whom we've wronged. We can look out the window at a world that is yet to be perfected. Finally, we can look inside ourselves and find those parts of us that feel broken and lost. We can look, but as the Torah says, do not see what has gone astray. Do not look upon the world with despair. The world is unfolding in front of you, and you must not let it be lost. As we gather at the turning of the year, come back to the community and find the stone to stake your claim. We can all be made good again through tshuva, because nothing is lost until you let it be. You can stake your claim for the future by returning anger with love, loss with hope, worry with gratitude, and most of all, declare that what has been lost can be found again, even until the 1,000th time.
You've been listening to Rabbi Amy Bernstein's Friday morning Torah study from Kehillat Israel in Pacific Palisades, California. For more information, go to our website, www.ourki.org.